My beloved brothers and sisters, every single one of us has felt it. That heavy feeling in the chest when someone disappoints us. That silent pain when the person we relied on suddenly changes. That anxiety when the help we expected never arrives. And sometimes we sit there thinking, why does this always happen to me? But perhaps the question is not why it happens. The question is, who were you depending on? From a young age, we are taught to rely on people, rely on friends, rely on family, rely on contacts, rely on status, rely on wealth. And when those supports shake, our hearts shake with them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create your heart to attach itself to temporary creation. He created your heart to attach itself to the everlasting. People change. Allah does not change. People get tired. Allah never gets tired. People forget. Allah never forgets. People walk away. Allah is always near. When you depend entirely on people, you hand them the key to your emotional stability. If they smile at you, you are happy. If they ignore you, you are broken. If they support you, you feel strong. If they withdraw, you collapse. Is that peace? No. That is emotional slavery. True peace begins the moment you shift your dependence from creation to the Creator. This does not mean you stop loving people. It does not mean you stop seeking help. Islam teaches us to tie our camel and then trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We take the means, we work hard, we build relationships. But our hearts must depend only on Allah. When your heart depends on Allah, disappointment becomes lighter. Why? Because you know the one who controls hearts is on your side. If someone rejects you, you say, Ya Allah, perhaps you are protecting me. If someone leaves you, you say, Ya Allah, you are sufficient for me. If help does not come from where you expected, you remind yourself that Allah can open doors from where you never imagined. How many times have we relied on someone so much that when they failed us, we felt betrayed? But maybe Allah allowed that failure to remind you, do not lean too heavily on my creation, lean on me. Depending on Allah brings dignity. When you beg from people constantly, you feel small. When you chase validation from people, you feel anxious. But when you raise your hands in the quiet of the night and say, Ya Allah, you are enough for me, something changes inside you. There is strength in sujood that you will never find in applause. You see, people can support you, but they cannot guarantee your success. People can advise you, but they cannot control your destiny. Only Allah writes your risk. Only Allah opens and closes doors. Only Allah turns hardship into ease. Sometimes we become dependent on praise. We do good deeds, but we want people to notice. We help others, but we want appreciation. We work hard, but we crave recognition. And when we do not get it, we feel empty. Why? Because we were depending on people's approval. But when you do something purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if no one sees it, your heart feels full. Why? Because the one who matters saw it. The one who rewards never forgets. Dependence on Allah does not remove hardship from your life. It removes fear from your heart. It does not mean people will never disappoint you. It means their disappointment will not destroy you. It does not mean you will never cry. It means you will cry to the right one. There is a beautiful peace that comes when you realize whatever Allah has written for me will reach me. And whatever He has not written will never reach me. No human can block what Allah has decreed for you. No human can grant what Allah has not allowed. So shift your mindset. Instead of saying, if this person helps me, I will succeed. Say, if Allah wills, I will succeed. Instead of saying, I cannot live without this person, say, I cannot live without Allah. Instead of saying, no one is there for me, say, Allah is always there for me. When you depend on Allah, you find peace in uncertainty. You find calm in storms. You find hope in darkness. Because your trust is placed in the most merciful, the most wise. My beloved brothers and sisters, free your heart from over-dependence on people. Love them, respect them, appreciate them, but do not anchor your heart to them. Anchor it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I promise you something. The day you truly depend on Allah, you will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will sleep peacefully. Because you know the one who controls everything is taking care of you. Stop depending on others in a way that breaks you. Depend on Allah in a way that builds you. And in that dependence, you will find the peace your heart has been searching for all along. Shift your dependence from creation to the Creator. People are temporary and limited. They change, forget, disappoint, and walk away. When your heart depends on them completely, your peace becomes unstable. True emotional stability comes when your heart relies on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who never changes, never forgets, and never abandons you. One of the greatest transformations a person can experience is the shift of dependence from creation to the Creator. Many of us live our lives emotionally attached to people in a way that was never meant to be. We lean on them for validation, for strength, for security, and even for our sense of worth. When they respond positively, we feel uplifted. When they withdraw, we feel shattered. Our mood rises and falls based on how others treat us. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, were our hearts truly designed to depend so heavily on human beings? People, no matter how good they are limited. They get tired. They become distracted. They change. Their feelings fluctuate. Even the most loving person in your life cannot give you constant emotional stability. Sometimes they may want to help you, but simply cannot. Sometimes they may misunderstand you. Sometimes they may walk away without warning. When your heart is anchored to something unstable, you will live an unstable emotional life. That is why over-dependence on people leads to anxiety, insecurity, and constant fear of loss. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the other hand, is Al-Hayy, the ever-living. He does not change. He does not forget. He does not become overwhelmed by your problems. He does not grow tired of your tears. When you call upon Him, He hears. When you whisper, He knows. When your heart aches silently, He understands before you even form the words. There is a profound difference between depending on someone who is temporary and depending on the one who is eternal. Shifting your dependence does not mean you stop loving people or that you isolate yourself. Islam teaches balance. We are encouraged to build relationships, to support one another, to seek advice, and to take the means. But the heart, the deep inner reliance, must belong to Allah alone. You may seek help from people, but you do not believe they are the ultimate source of your success. You may appreciate someone's support, but you do not believe your life collapses without them. Your core trust rests with Allah. When you depend entirely on people, you give them power over your peace. If they praise you, you feel worthy. If they criticize you, you feel crushed. If they stay, you feel secure. If they leave, you feel abandoned. This emotional dependence slowly drains you because you are constantly seeking reassurance from those who are themselves fragile and imperfect. But when you depend on Allah, your sense of security shifts. You begin to say, if Allah is with me, I am never alone. There is a deep calmness that comes from knowing that the one who controls hearts is in control of your affairs. If someone disappoints you, instead of breaking down completely, you remind yourself that Allah allowed this for a reason. Perhaps He is protecting you from something greater. Perhaps He is teaching you a lesson about attachment. Perhaps He is redirecting towards something better. When your trust is in Allah, even painful moments carry meaning. Over-dependence often comes from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of failure, fear of rejection. But when you truly understand who Allah is, that fear begins to soften. You realize that no one can block what Allah has written for you. No one can take away what He has decreed. No one can harm you beyond what He has allowed. This belief strengthens your heart. You no longer cling desperately to people because you know your provision, your success, and your future are in the hands of Allah. The shift is not just intellectual, it is spiritual. It happens in your dua. It happens in your sujood. It happens when, instead of calling 10 people to complain, you first turn to Allah and pour your heart out. It happens when your first reaction to difficulty is not panic, but prayer. Slowly, your heart learns where true strength comes from. When you depend on Allah, you become emotionally freer. You still love people, but you are not enslaved by them. You still appreciate support, but you are not destroyed by its absence. You walk through life with dignity because your reliance is on the most powerful. And that is where true peace begins, when your heart finally rests with the one who never fails. Depending on Allah brings inner strength and dignity. Over dependence on people leads to emotional weakness, anxiety, and constant need for validation. But when you turn to Allah first in dua, in sujood, in hardship, you gain confidence, calmness, and strength. Your worth no longer depends on people's approval, it depends on your connection with Allah. Depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings a kind of inner strength and dignity that no human approval can ever provide. Many of us do not realize how much of our emotional life revolves around people's opinions. We feel confident when we are praised, and we feel small when we are criticized. We feel motivated when someone supports us, and we feel discouraged when no one notices our efforts. Slowly, without realizing it, we hand over our sense of worth to the creation instead of anchoring it in our relationship with the Creator. Overdependence on people often begins subtly. We want to be appreciated. We want to be understood. We want to feel valued. These desires are natural, but when they become the foundation of our emotional stability, we become fragile. A single harsh comment can ruin our day. A lack of response can make us overthink for hours. We begin to chase validation in everything we do. We measure our success by how many people clap for us. We measure our value by how many people approve of us. And when that approval does not come, we feel empty. But there is something incredibly powerful about turning your heart toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead. When you do something purely for Him, your satisfaction changes. Even if no one sees your effort, you know Allah sees it. Even if no one thanks you, you know Allah appreciates it. Even if no one understands your struggle, you know Allah understands it completely. That knowledge alone gives you strength. Depending on Allah builds confidence from within. It teaches you that your worth is not defined by social media likes, by praise from friends, or by recognition from people. Your worth comes from being a servant of Allah. When you understand that, you walk differently. You are not desperate for attention. You are not shaken by every opinion. You are not constantly worried about pleasing everyone. You focus on pleasing Allah, and that focus gives you dignity. There is also strength in knowing that Allah controls outcomes. Sometimes we depend on people for opportunities. We think, if this person recommends me, I will succeed. If this person supports me, my life will improve. While people can be means, they are not the source. When you truly depend on Allah, you understand that He can open doors no one can close, and He can close doors no one can open. This realization frees you from desperation. You stop chasing people in a humiliating way because you know that what is written for you will come to you. When you raise your hands in dua and say, Ya Allah, you are sufficient for me, something powerful happens inside your heart. You feel supported in a way that no human support can match. Even if you are physically alone, you do not feel abandoned. Even if people misunderstand you, you do not feel completely lost, because you know the one who created you knows your intentions better than anyone else. Depending on Allah also strengthens you during hardship. When people fail you, instead of collapsing, you turn to prayer. Instead of complaining endlessly, you seek guidance from Allah. Instead of feeling humiliated by rejection, you remind yourself that perhaps Allah is redirecting you towards something better. This mindset builds resilience. It builds patience. It builds emotional maturity. There is dignity in not begging people for what only Allah can give. There is dignity in trusting that your provision, your success, and your future are in His hands. When you depend on people too much, you often feel anxious because people are unpredictable. But when you depend on Allah, you feel calm because He is perfectly wise and perfectly merciful. This does not mean you cut off people or refuse help. It means your heart knows where true strength lies. You appreciate support, but you are not broken without it. You accept advice, but you are not destroyed by criticism. You work hard, but you trust Allah for the results. And that is where true dignity is found, in standing before Allah alone, knowing that He is enough for you. When your heart reaches that level of reliance, you carry a quiet confidence. You are no longer living to impress people. You are living to please Allah. And that shift transforms your entire life. Trusting Allah removes fear, not challenges. Depending on Allah does not mean life becomes easy. It means your heart becomes steady. Disappointments will still come, but they will not break you. When you truly believe that what Allah has written will reach you and what He has not written will never harm you, you find peace even in uncertainty. Trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mean your life will suddenly become free from challenges. It does not mean people will stop disappointing you. It does not mean you will never face hardship, rejection, or uncertainty. What it does mean, however, is that your heart will no longer be controlled by fear. The storms may still come, but they will not uproot you. The waves may still rise, but they will not drown you. Because when your trust is in Allah, your foundation becomes unshakable. Many of us believe that peace comes from having everything go according to our plans. We think if people treat us well, if our goals are achieved quickly, if our relationships remain stable, then we will feel calm. But life does not work that way. Plans change, people change, circumstances change. If your peace depends on everything around you remaining perfect, you will rarely experience peace at all. That is why depending on Allah is so powerful. It shifts your peace from external circumstances to internal certainty. When you truly believe that whatever Allah has written for you will reach you, and whatever He has not written for you will never touch you, something incredible happens inside your heart. You stop overthinking every delay. You stop panicking over every closed door. You stop assuming that every setback is a disaster. Instead, you begin to see life through the lens of divine wisdom. You remind yourself that Allah sees what you do not see. He knows what you do not know. He plans while you are worrying. There will be moments when someone walks away from you. There will be moments when a job opportunity slips from your hands. There will be moments when your dua seems unanswered. In those moments, shaitan whispers fear into your heart. He tells you that you are alone, that you have been abandoned, that your future is uncertain. But trusting Allah silences those whispers. It reminds you that Allah is closer to you than anyone else. He has never abandoned you. He has never forgotten you. Even when you cannot see the wisdom, it is there. Trusting Allah removes fear because it replaces uncertainty with faith. You may not know how something will work out, but you know who is in control. And that knowledge is enough. You may not see the solution immediately, but you know the one who creates solutions. You may feel weak at times, but you know Allah's power has no limits. That awareness strengthens you from within. It is important to understand that reliance on Allah is not passive. It is not sitting back and doing nothing. It is taking the means while keeping your heart attached to Him. You strive, you work, you plan, you seek advice. But after doing your part, you surrender the outcome to Allah. You say, Ya Allah, I have tried. I trust you with the result. That surrender is not weakness, it is strength. When you depend too heavily on people, fear constantly follows you. You fear losing them, you fear their opinions, you fear their rejection. But when you depend on Allah, fear begins to fade. Even if everyone misunderstands you, Allah understands you. Even if everyone leaves you, Allah remains with you. Even if the entire world closes its doors, Allah can open one that changes your life completely. Trusting Allah also protects you from despair. Sometimes hardship feels overwhelming. Sometimes a test feels too long. But when your heart truly believes that Allah is most merciful and most wise, you hold on. You remind yourself that every difficulty carries a lesson. Every delay carries a purpose. Every tear is seen. And no hardship is wasted in the sight of Allah. There is a unique peace that comes from saying with full conviction, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best disposer of affairs. That statement is not just words. It is a mindset. It is a declaration that you refuse to let fear control your heart because your trust is anchored in the one who controls everything. Challenges will remain a part of life. Tests will not disappear. But when you truly depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those challenges no longer break you. They shape you. They strengthen you. They bring you closer to Him. And in that closeness, in that reliance, you find a peace that no circumstance can take away.